The inaugural season of McLaren Trophy America is down to its final race. Casey Dennis and James Lee have all but clinched the pro title, while the Pro-Am and Am championships are coming down to the wire. And the venue for this title bout? How about the world-famous Indianapolis Motor Speedway, a circuit steeped in motorsports lore, and at which McLaren is an integral part of the colorful tapestry. Hello, my name is Ryan Marine. Great to have you with us for this season finale. Tom Baker is alongside. We'll hear as well from Amanda Busick. Seems like just yesterday, Tom, we kicked the season off in Northern California at Sonoma. Where's the year gone?
It's flown past us there, but yeah, we're here for the finale. Great to see that we're going to have all 4 championships decided today. Great way to end the season.
Exactly so. Beautiful day here in Indianapolis as well. Just under 70 degrees Fahrenheit with a breeze that's starting to pick up as we get closer to the start of the race. A chance now to hear from some of the front runners. Amanda Busick is down on the grid.
Hey Ryan, and yeah, here we are for the final time for McLaren Trophy, race number 2 at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, next to race winner from yesterday, Tanner Harvey. What was it like kissing those bricks?
It felt amazing. We came here first time at the track and we won, and hopefully we can do it again with Patrick starting and me finishing. It's going to be a beautiful day, and I feel very lucky.
You were just talking to me off camera about some of your plans next year. What can you tease us with?
I'd like to do GT3 for SRO and stick with McLaren again because, wow, it's an amazing series, so put together. So I'm just very, very excited to see where my racing career goes.
All right, well, hopefully you guys might be kissing those bricks by the end of the day, but they do start from row 4, so they will move up on that next to that race for RP entry for McLaren Trophy as well. This is one of the rows that we're going to have an eye on as we get this race started. In the Pro-Am battle, you're taking a look right now at the entry of Andrew Davis and John Dempsey. They had the P3 finish yesterday after the P2 finish from the other entry of Alex Hainer and Jesse Lazare. One of these cars will win this championship here today. It's about a 6-point difference based on how they finished yesterday. So there's going to be eyes on this battle. I told those guys ahead of the race, you guys played nice today on the track. And then in row 2, that's where our AM battle is for the championship. James Safronis leads that one, but Colin Harrison did say he knows he has a shot at it. He just has to race his race. And on row number 1, you'll have the entry of Jeff Cook and Dennis Tiemann. Jeff will kick that off. They're looking for the second race win of the season after they picked up that win at VIR. And then one of the standout in McLaren Trophy, Tommy Pintos, will kick us up with the pole position here at IMS. It's been a beautiful season for the first year of McLaren Trophy in our paddock. Can't wait to see how this one fills off, Ryan.
Neither can we, Amanda. Should be a ton of fun as we get ready to go here at the racing capital of the world. Engines are fired down on the grid. Let's run through those championship scenarios. As long as the Lee and Dennis car, which starts towards the back, as long as they start the race, the championship is theirs with 2 points. 2 cars in the class. There's just not enough points on offer for that 6.5-point lead to be overcome. It's a little more complicated in Pro-Am and in Am. In Pro-Am, it's Jesse Lazare and Alexandra Hainer. If they finish 3rd or better, there is nothing that the combination of Davis and Dempsey can do. They must win, and the other entry has to finish 4th or worse for the championship to switch hands here on the final day of the season. Meanwhile, in Am, similar situation. James Safronis leads by 8.5 points. A finish of 4th or better is enough to clinch the title. Colin Harrison has to win, and Safronis must finish 5th or worse in order for the championship to change hands. So that's the scenario. I think in some respects it's easier for the trailing drivers to know all we have to do is win, and then the rest is outside of our hands anyway.
Exactly. I don't think there's any change from how they normally approach a race, just going for the win. It's an observation is the fact that it's the first race we both got our laptops out with spreadsheets open so we can calculate all the championship permutations as we go.
Exactly.
The battle in the Teams Championship is very good as well. GMG currently lead that. And RWE, Raceworks Motorsport, are running second. Fairly certain that will go the way of GMG, but still got to play that out.
That's why we have to race 50 minutes upcoming. These are the class pole sitters in the respective classes. Pro on the right, Pro-Am in the center, and Am on the left. All mixed up, as has been the case all year. It was a great effort from Jeff Cook to qualify on the outside of the front row overall, best placed of the M class entries, and certainly a car to keep an eye on. He was really quick in the second half of the race yesterday.
He's been impressive all year round, so yeah, it'd be interesting to see how he gets on in this race.
Indeed. 2 formation laps as we get ready for the final race of the season. Let's look at how the grid shapes up for this final scuffle in McLaren Trophy America. Here is your front row. Again, Pintos and Cook. Then it's Harrison and Sofronis back in row number 2, the 2 that are vying for the M class title. In the third row, it's Davis and Lazare. Those are the protagonists as well in their respective class championship fight. Kevin Madsen, Patrick Liddy, leading a winner yesterday with Tanner Harvey, who we heard from a moment ago. Steve Sorbero and Michael Steves in the next row. It's the 6th row now. Kaden O'Connell and Bob Stockert will line up 11th and 12th. James Lee, Chris likewise is the final row of the grid. The James Lee car again, by virtue of starting this formation lap, they will be credited as a finisher, which officially then clinches the Pro Class Championship for the Lightning McLaren, car number 74. A sigh of relief for them after they had an issue in qualifying that cost them a chance to set any representative lap times, but it did not take them long to come from the back and get to the front, about 10.5 minutes from last effectively to first yesterday. We'll see what James Lee can do. Casey Dennis set a mighty high bar to try and clear. We've been talking about the championship points, as mentioned, by virtue of taking the role here in the formation laps. Dennis and Lee should be your inaugural Pro Class champions ahead of Broll and Pintos, who have closed the season in really fine form, just left themselves a little too much work to do towards the end. Unfortunately, we haven't seen JCD, John Capestro de Betz, and Andre Solano for quite some time, so they're a distant third. Meanwhile, Pro-Am, as you can see, 6.5 points the difference between Hainer and Lazare and Davis and Dempsey, and they're the only 2 pairings that are in with a shout of the championship here on the weekend's final season. Some of the lower places, though, still up for grabs. Meanwhile, in the AM class, it is, again, a really tight margin, 8.5 points. Sofronis and Harrison, they've been neck and neck all year, but James does have one hand on the trophy, just needs that top 5 finish to clinch today. Dennis Tillman and Jeff Cook closing the season on a strong note, but Steven Sorbero not far behind, only 3.5 points out of third place. That will be one fight to keep an eye on as we get into the race itself today. You enjoyed yesterday. What do you think we're going to see today, Tom?
Yesterday was a fantastic race. We had action all the way through the field, which was great to see. Hopefully more of the same.
Hopefully indeed. Maybe fewer penalties.
That would be nice, yeah. Try and make it a little easier on the maths and figure out who's finished where.
My goodness, so many miscues in the pit lane with calculating pit lane minimum times and things of that nature, but that was yesterday. Today's a brand new day, and the final race of the season for the inaugural McLaren Trophy America Championship about to get underway at the Brickyard. It's Pintos to the inside of the front row, screen left. To the outside, it's Cook in the gray machine. They'll share the front row coming through turn 14 onto the famed 5/8 of a mile front straightaway at Indianapolis and toward the yard of bricks. Tom Hansing has the green flag in hand, just waiting on the cars to enter the acceleration zone. And away we go for the final time in 2025. It's Pintos leading Cook. The fight is on further back. Sofronis has the third spot, but he's coming under threat inside and outside. Sofronis, the points leader in AM, just needs a clean race today. Sweeps across the nose of Harrison there. That opens up the door around the outside for Jesse Lazare, who's been really aggressive. From 6th on the grid, he's already up to 3rd place.
That's a very good start from Jesse on the outside there, just made that work, found the space. Good for their championship prospects.
Another fight here. This is another position for James Sofronis. He watches as Patrick Liddy goes on by, but again, James just needs to look after himself here at this stage. Can't get into a scuffle. That's the one thing that could torpedo his championship bid. Andrew Davis to the inside of Sofronis now. A couple of veterans going at it. Again, Sofronis deciding discretion is indeed the better part of valor and gives up without too much of a fight with the big picture in mind. And lining up to take a shot next is young Kanan O'Connell, who's on the push to pass, trying to size up the 4-time SRO American champion.
Yeah, that's smart driving by James. He knows the guys in those cars are pro drivers. There's not much point in him holding them up. Just give them space and let him run his race. Of course, it does mean he doesn't have a buffer then between him and Colin, who's running just behind. But James is a quick driver. He'll make the space work.
Well, he knows that Colin is behind, and as long as that's the case, he can't lose the championship, can he?
Exactly.
It's a must-win situation for Harrison. Same is true for Davis and Dempsey in Pro-Am. What might have been for them yesterday, they had good pace, but had a penalty in the early going that they never could recover from, and that cost them significant ground in the title hunt. Meantime, Jesse Lazare again on the attack. He's already up to 2nd overall now. Just put the pass on Cook. Cook now falling into the clutches of Liddy in the blue car, working its way to the outside.
Yeah, I'm thinking Jesse might have a plane to catch. That's why he's on such a hurry.
You would think so. Boy, we haven't seen him racing full-time in much this year outside of McLaren Trophy, but did make a cameo appearance here in a GT4 car. In fact, this very chassis, as we talked about yesterday, the IMSA weekend here at IMS, and stood on the podium with Alex Hainer, and again on the podium with a runner-up class finish yesterday.
It was a great shot then of the cars coming down to the end of that straight, and just seeing the drivers working the wheel there as they get the car under control for that turn.
Patrick Liddy again trying to eye up a way to get by Cook, has drifted back a couple of spots in the overall standing, still has a healthy lead in the AM class. Liddy was super fast yesterday, helped to get the victory, but it is worth noting that car only debuted in the most recent round of the championship at Road America. Consequently, any entry that turns up in the final 2 events of the season is invisible for points. So that has a factor to play in the points permutations. Liddy takes a peek to the inside of Cook, who gives him just enough room, and Liddy very careful and cautious there not to get tangled up.
No, he did well to avoid contact there, which was good to see, but clearly looking to make some progress and get past Jeff, who in himself he's qualified very well. He was a great result yesterday in qualifying to line up on the front row, which for an AM pairing is fantastic to see.
We mentioned yesterday that Casey Dennis gave the now championship winning number 74 entry quite a ride, going from the second to last row of the grid to the overall lead in 10.5 minutes. It's James Lee's turn to try and start, and you know what? I get the sense he's just enjoying the fact that the championship is already taken care of, no need to take undue risk, and he has slowly but surely worked his way up into the 9th spot now, as he, a moment ago in the background, was able to get around Kevin Madsen.
Absolutely, yeah. It's good to see that they've done the job, and yeah. I don't think he's going to be hanging around for long, though. He's going to want to get in that mix and get further towards the front. I think he'd still like to have a victory and finish the season like that.
No doubt about it. A chance to win, always special, but doubly so when you come to a historic venue like Indianapolis. A chance for the Spaniard, Tommy Pintos, to get to know what Indy is all about. Sits out in front currently. Of course, Spanish drivers in Indy in recent years have pretty good history. The reigning Indy 500 champion is a Spaniard, Alex Palou. Maybe shouldn't mention that during a McLaren race, though.
Let's move on.
Yeah, moving on. But Pintos does have firm control of the overall lead of the race, and that's where James Lee needs to get, down in 9th. As Alexandra Hainer watches on, waiting for her turn. It's been a really good year for her. Again, talked about it before. The season didn't start well at Sonoma, but nevertheless, they recovered quickly, and at Circuit of the Americas made their intentions quite clear.
Absolutely, they had a fantastic weekend there. 3 races. I was talking to Alexandra about it earlier, actually. She's had her family there for the 3 rounds at Kota. Came good. They got the wins, and their championship challenge started there and then. They had a good result. Had a decent race at Sonoma at the beginning of the year, but it just wasn't podium finishing. And then got to Texas, something clicked, and yeah, they were firmly in contention.
A look at the championship as they run. Lazare and Hainer doing what they need to do. Now a 10-point lead. It's grown by virtue of the fact they're ahead of Davis and Dempsey at this point. Kanan O'Connell, Cruz up to the 3rd spot in the point standings. This is up out of the infield and onto the front straightaway. A great look at the speed. That's early in the straight, and then with all the power available in these cars, I do wonder what terminal velocity must be down here in turn 1. We know that these Artura Trophy cars are super fast because when they were running at the Nürburgring 24 earlier this year, these cars had the fastest trap speeds of any car in the N24. So with 2 long straightaways here at Indy, this has to be an awfully fun place to drive one of these cars.
The drivers seem to be enjoying it. It's an interesting circuit because it doesn't quite have the flow of one of the more traditional circuits like VIR or Road America. So I think we would say a little bit Marmite in the UK. You know, you either love it or you hate it. But I think the difference between the infield section and the banking. Kevin Mabson was also telling me that the road surface is different when the sun hits it. So how that reacts with the chemical reaction with the tyres and everything else. So there's actually a very technical lap of the things that the drivers have to consider, where they are, what the sun's doing, how temperature in the tyres and all those kind of things. So it's a lot to think about.
It's an interesting point. The oval is well known to be incredibly temperature sensitive, and having talked to some of the IndyCar guys over the years, the road course has some of those same traits as well, as you allude to. Just adds to the challenge.
So interesting, I was having a chat with James Sofronis yesterday, and unfortunately he was awarded the penalty for the short pit stop, which was only, I think it was 1.5 seconds, something like that. And they realised that when they practiced the pit stop, he'd done it on cold tyres. And so coming in to do his pit stop, obviously 25 minutes into the race, his tyres were warm, so he got a much better launch from the pit box, and that was all the difference was when they timed it before he did it on cold tyres. So.
Yeah, sure. And he was, under the 2-second threshold that you get to play around in a little bit. There was a penalty for coming in under, but within that 2-second threshold, it's a multiplier of 10 by however many seconds you're under the minimum. But he must have been about 1.7 seconds under because it was a 17-second penalty, and that ultimately cost him enough track position that it kept the championship alive going into this final race. But right now, by virtue of the fact he runs solidly ahead of his nearest pursuer, the championship would go the way of James Sofronis as they run.
Exactly, and James Lee's managed to make his way past Colin Harrison there, so he's now got a little bit of a buffer between James as well, but I'm sure James Lee won't be taking too long to come past James Sofronis.
Battle of the Jameses, isn't it? Sofronis here, white number 14. James Lee now splitting the top 2 in AM class points. They're 2nd and 3rd in class in the race. Lee now sizing up Sofronis. It's been a nice steady march forward for James Lee. Speaking of which, there you can see the live points gap, and although they're sitting 2nd on the road, there just aren't enough cars in the class to swap this position around, even with Tommy Pintos leading the race here at this stage, 9.5 minutes into the final race of the season.
Jesse's lighting up the timer screens with fastest lap on his last lap, so he is sitting about just over a second short of shy of Tommy, shall I say. But he's been sitting a good few laps. Tommy it's very small amount in it between the two of them, so they are kind of trading times, but Jesse is the fastest out on track at the moment.
Yeah, nip and tuck, you're right. Looking at their best times, looking at basically, what would it be, 19 thousandths of a second between the two in terms of their best lap times. Let's check and see what the most recent laps look like. Click on the right column. Last lap, Lazare was moderately quicker, only about a 1/10 of a second. Let's check this time by. Basically identical, only 9 thousandths between the two of them. Back to the Jameses here, and we've been watching. It's a tougher task for James Lee today than it was for Casey yesterday in terms of coming up through the field, because you have in these Pro-Am cars more of the pros getting the start here today. So without a doubt, that complicates matters for James Lee, trying to match what his teammate did yesterday. And on top of it, there was a little bit of chaos at the start of the race yesterday too, which meant he gained a few positions without having to truly fight for them.
That's true, yeah. We did have a few cars taking different routes, shall we say, different lines through the corners, but James was determined to come through. He's managed to make his way past now. He was looking good into turn 1, but just I think he started a little bit further back than he needed to be, but he's made that move stick now, so James is now in front of James.
Exactly. Got the run down Holman Boulevard, named for Tony Holman, who purchased this facility in 1946, saved it from almost certain destruction as the city of Indianapolis started to expand. This area was pegged to maybe turn into housing development, but a consortium of folks who owned the track at the time, including World War I flying ace Eddie Rickenbacker and Wilbur Shaw, a 3-time winner of the Indy 500, sought out someone who could buy the track, preserve it, and shepherd it into its next era, and Tony Holman did just that, and it was the Holman-George family that owned this facility until 2020 when Roger Penske took ownership. And to tie it back to McLaren, of course, the first McLaren win at Indy was in a Penske-entered McLaren.
You do a very good job of wrapping everything up here, don't you?
Yeah,
you do your research.
We try. Mark Donohue won that race, 1972. Sharp-looking car, which is on display in the museum.
Which I haven't had a chance to go and get to, which is very disappointing, but it's going to have to be next year now.
Need to make sure you get a chance to do that before you head off for the weekend. A moment ago, got our race vision powered by AWS, showcasing which cars were strong in which sectors. Sector 1 includes turns 1 through 6. Then it's Sector 2, which has the Holman Boulevard straight into the twisty complex 7, 8, 9, and 10. And then the final sector includes going up onto the south end of the oval, back to the infield for turns 12 and 13. And then 14 right here, back up onto the front straightaway into the Yard of Bricks once again. Just under 2.5 miles around, 14 turns, the IMS road course, which opened in 2000, along with the pagoda as it's currently constituted, and all the pit garages, all of that installed for the arrival of Formula One. U.S. Grand Prix held here from the year 2000 through 2007 or 8.
I think it was 7.
I think you're right, too. And that final one was won by Lewis Hamilton in?
That was. McLaren.
That's
there
right.
Yeah. Double header, because he won at Canada as well, I think, the weekend before.
That one, I will defer to you on.
I hope I've got that right now.
You said it with such confidence. I'm willing to roll with it. Fastest lap in the class, I believe, belongs to Jesse Lazare, who has reeled in Tommy Pintos. Might be the fastest lap overall now as well. Meanwhile, battle breaking out here. This is further down the order. Steve Sorbero, Chris likewise. 2 different classes, but identical cars. And see what this fight looks like as it continues here through the chicane.
Yeah, I was having a quick chat with Chris on the grid before he got in the car. He'd come over to Silverstone for one of our Pure events middle of September. So he actually got a chance to sample the GT3 car, which he was very impressed by. So we'll have to see if we can convince him with one of those. But yeah, he loves being part of the McLaren family, getting to come and do those things that you wouldn't ordinarily be able to do. So yeah, he's a big fan, which is nice to have him involved, and he brings his family along and everything else. So it's a lovely atmosphere.
For those light on details, myself amongst them, describe what the Pure events are that McLaren hosts.
So it's a chance for McLaren owners to come along. We hire out Silverstone and other circuits around the world, but it's a real sort of celebration of McLaren road cars. We bring the race cars along, so we had the trophy cars there. Our trophy winners were actually there to get their prize of a drive in the Solus GT, which everyone had a big smile on their face after doing that.
Can't imagine why.
No, exactly. So that was a big thing, and it's a big celebration. We have a lot of our driver coaches there, new cars. We had the Project Endurance hypercar on display. So yeah, it's a fantastic event, great atmosphere, and it's great to be able to get so many of our racing customers along to enjoy the event. And actually, some of the teams from Europe came along and they used it as a testing opportunity with their trophy cars. So it's a big benefit of the championship.
It is a passionate fan base and customer base. The Papaya Army, anywhere you go at a racetrack, chances are you'll see it well represented. This was a moment ago. Ooh, this is how the lead closed up so much. Tommy Pintos a little bit deep there in the braking zone for turn 12, and that opened the door for Jesse Lazare to get to the doorstep. And Jesse's brought Cook along for the ride here. Really close now in that top 3.
Less than a second separating them all, so that could be an interesting battle to keep an eye on. Looks like Collins closed up a little bit on James Sofronis as well.
He has. Hard at work as well. We got a glimpse of the white gloves flashing back and forth, coming through 14 onto the front straightaway once again. Colin doing what he needs to do to at least keep James honest here, fighting for second and third in the class.
So that's the top 3, and each of the class leaders all in the same shot, but Patrick Liddy has closed in a little bit as well. So 2 seconds now, cover the top 4.
Liddy will want to get a move on here and try and get to Jesse Lazare. That is for class position. One car separating the two of them. Maybe playing into his hands a bit is the fact that Jeff Cook is looking stronger than ever.
He's hounding the back of that Motorsports in Action car, isn't he? He's keen to get past.
That's the fastest car of that leading trio on the most recent lap. And actually even quicker still was Liddy, who clawed in half a second to the race leader.
That's Cooper Broll getting ready to take over from Tommy when his stint starts.
Those two seem to have really hit it off this year and got those wins, didn't they, at Road America? Called to the pit lane. It is Liddy pitting from the 4th position. This is something they can do here as a guest entry. Their drive time rules are a little bit different, with the maximum drive time of 40 minutes. Well, they'll go ahead and take this call to the pit lane here. And it is a timed pit stop, just a driver change, no fuel or tires. And in the case of single driver entries, it's just sitting stationary effectively, and they have to sit stationary a little bit longer. As we discussed yesterday, it would be advantageous as a single driver. You've already been on track, you're warmed up, you know the track conditions, and so it's an additional 5 seconds stationary for those single driver lineups relative to the 2 driver lineups.
We also need to factor in the success penalties, though. That adds on to their standard pit stop time. So we award success penalties, or success seconds, shall we say, to each of the drivers that finished in the top 3 of the previous race. So we will be looking at a 7-second time success penalty in the Pro class for the 74 car, and a 5-second penalty for the 919 car. That Cooper Broll and Tommy Pintos are certainly currently racing. So there is that. It's trying to sort of a way of reining back in, or not allowing drivers to have a runaway success, shall we say.
Well, it's worked because technically all 3 championships came down to today, albeit one was settled at the formation lap, but it has kept them within striking distance. Here comes Jesse Lazare, fastest man on track in that opening stint, and he'll be turning it over to Alexandra Hainer. Another part of the rules with the drive time rules, the way they're situated, the idea is to maximize the input, let's say, of the non-professional drivers in these Pro-Am lineups. They're the ones that are investing resources to be here, and we want to make this as much about them as possible.
Exactly. The focus has always been on making sure that the AM driver is sort of the center of attention, and it's not a case of got a quick pro, put them in, they do most of the race, and the AM driver's just driving around to almost make up the numbers. So it's a nice way of making sure that they are getting as much track time and enjoying their racing.
Alexandra getting set to climb in fact has done so now. Saw her carrying her seat insert to help make her comfortable. Drivers, of course, having to share the same seat, not always exactly the same dimensions, so teams will mold these seat inserts to make it comfortable for all involved, and hopefully then not have to make too many changes to the ergonomics of the cars during the pit stops.
Exactly. So the number 10 car, Andrew Davis, is out of that, and John Dempsey is now in. They will only have 5 additional seconds to serve on their pit stop, whereas Alex and Jesse will have 7. So there's a 2-second benefit there for the number 10, which needs to win this race to stand any chance of taking the title. Can they make it work?
Well, we'll see, but they need a little more than that too, unfortunately. They need some misfortune for the championship frontrunners, finishing well down the order and not scoring big points. Still can happen, anything can, right? With the final 29 minutes of the season coming to an end.
There we go, we got a drag race down the pit lane.
Certainly do. It's good pit work by Forte team. Liddy, well, it was Liddy, wasn't it? So it must be Harvey now in the blue car, able to come around and building up into a nice rhythm here, and that helps to jump that car to the front of those that have pitted so far.
James Safronis, yeah, the order in the Pro-Am class has now been shaken up a little bit, so Tanner Harvey now in that car, so he now leads the class from Alex Hainer and John Dempsey in 3rd.
Hopefully James and the GMG team are factoring in the hot tires this time, the hot Pirelli P0s.
I'm sure they will have learned their lesson of yesterday and will be taking it extra cautiously going down pit road today.
You can hear them bleeding a little bit of air out of the tires. That is allowed, but that's about it that the teams are permitted to do on the pit lane. Tommy Pintos remains on the track. I suspect they'll want to maximize Tommy's drive time as former McLaren Trophy Europe champion in its inaugural season. He's had to learn all the tracks, but he knows the car well, although it is an Evo, so everybody is learning to some degree, but he does have some of that experience to draw upon. And I tell you, he has been everything that was advertised from the start of the season. He has been super impressive seeing these tracks for the first time.
Exactly. He's done a great job, and as you say, it's a new car to everyone, although Tommy does have a bit of a leg up in that he has worked with our development team on refining that car last year. So he hasn't done a huge amount of laps in it, but at least he was seeing how it was developing to get to this point of a finished product.
This is not an insignificant penalty here. Short pit stop time. Must have been 0.4 of a second under, because it's a 4.14 second post-race time penalty coming for the Alexandra Hainer Jesse Lazare entry. And this is also worth noting that although she's currently behind Liddy, that Liddy car is invisible for points when it comes to the Pro-Am championship battle. Now, let's look back on what we saw a moment ago in the pit lane and watch the car in what is called the fast lane there, right-hand side in the pits, slowing down, creeping to the line, and then stopping, actually. My supposition is that the team realized they might have released that car just a little bit too soon and risked going under the minimum pit stop time. However, it's typically not looked upon favorably to not maintain pit lane speed in the fast lane in the pits.
Yeah, that's a new one on me. That's the Chris Lightwise car, so it'll be interesting to see how that's interpreted in race control.
In his favor is the fact there was no one to impede, so really it was a victimless crime. But yeah, again, not typically what race control likes to see, as the 21 of Colin Harrison now peels off from the AM class battle. This is, along with the Safronis car, a single driver lineup. But this car should have the longer pit stop today, right? By virtue of the fact that Colin was ahead of James yesterday.
Yes, so because Colin has had a couple of wins on the trot now, he actually has a 10-second penalty. So he's got double the success seconds to serve in the pits versus James Safronis, who only has 5 seconds.
And that should help James Safronis in his pursuit of the title. He was already running ahead of Colin, and that was step number 1. Colin taking a moment to collect his thoughts. In some respects, that must be kind of a surreal situation, just to be sitting there, time to think. What have I done? What can I do better? And then get right back to it.
I should imagine it seems like an eternity as you slowly cook in all the heat of the car that you're not getting any airflow coming through to cool you down.
Yeah, mercifully, it's a relatively temperate day here in Indianapolis, but even still, inside one of these hot race cars, you're right. When you don't have any airflow coming into you, it can't be super comfortable. Here's James Lee, champion-elect for 2025 in the Pro class. Casey Dennis set to climb aboard. The two are fast friends. Fast race car drivers too. Dennis hops off the wall and leisurely makes his way around the car. The minimum times in this championship are set to be easily achievable. Let's put it that way. We don't want anyone to be in a rush. It's not really supposed to be a competitive part of the race. And safety, first and foremost, is the priority when it comes to the pit stops.
Exactly. It's enough time to make sure that the drivers are in, they're comfortable, all the belts are done up, and they can go about it in a safe way rather than rushing. And you've seen it in years gone past of drivers putting their seatbelts on, going down the pit lane and trying to collect them up and everything. That's not what this is about. Nice, calm, control, plenty of time to do the job.
And Calvin Fish has a few stories about maybe heading out onto the track at Daytona or Sebring, and things weren't quite as cinched down as you would like them to be. None of that here. And in large part, that's due to the rules that are in place. There's no reason to feel rushed.
So I'm now wondering, these guys are champions. They got it when the green flag fell. How quick after this race will they be booking their flights to come over to Woking to McLaren Technology Centre for the 15th of November to pick up their trophy for winning the title? Well, actually, they get to receive the trophy. Their names are put on it. It stays in the trophy cabinet at MTC with all the other historic trophies won by Prost, Senna, and Hakkinen, and all the other names that are synonymous with McLaren's racing history. So.
Yeah, that's a really good point you make. What a special opportunity to celebrate the season in McLaren's worldwide racing headquarters. Wow, that was Dempsey going a little bit wide there. It opens up the door for Casey Dennis if he wants to try and push through, and he does. Wow, a rare move around the outside into 5th and 6th. That is a position in the overall order. Two cars in different classes, however, swapping 6th and 7th as they run.
Maybe that answers my question. He's very keen to book his flight.
I think you're onto something. Another car with a time penalty, the 49 of Sorbero. I think it was a 4.3 second penalty. We'll see if that.
I think that'll have a fundamental impact on the results in the AM class. But
not the way that they're running, but you don't know. You know, with a full course yellow potentially bunching people up.
No, the gap in the Pro-Am class, I'm just looking at this because obviously the Hainer car, the 43, has that 4.14 second time penalty. They now have a gap to John Dempsey of about just over 5.3 seconds. So
bodywork just fell off of the second place car. It's still shown in Temming and scoring as Jeff Cook, but it should be Dennis Thielmann, I believe, now in that car. Or no, I take that back. They've not pitted, have they? So that still is Jeff.
Yeah, they're an AM pairing, so they've got a bit more leeway in their pit stop window.
Yeah, they should be due in any moment now because the maximum drive time is 30 minutes, and we're approaching that quickly. As expected, both cars do come in. But interesting, there was something orange or papaya that came off, I think, of the Cook car.
The number 5.
Yeah, down the down Holman Boulevard, and hopefully that's off the racing line. Also, hopefully it's nothing integral to the car.
Looks like there's a bit of bodywork missing on the side panel there of the left rear.
Good eye. You're exactly right. Perhaps there was a little contact.
Yeah, nothing to be too worried about. But yeah, it would be better on the car than on the track.
Definitely. And do wonder if race control will have to take a look at that. Just not sure exactly where it ended up, but for now we stay under green flag conditions. Everyone who needed to pit now is in the pits at the moment. Kevin Madsen was the last to do so.
Yep, so he will hand over to Neil Lambo to finish off the season, which would be nice to see. They're been and gone. They're out down pit lane now. A little hop, skip, and a jump from Jeff Cook there.
Again, I think we got a glimpse of the piece of bodywork going off the car a moment ago. Let's take a look here. Second car in line. It's already flapping, and there it goes.
And there it went, yeah. So I wonder how that caught. Maybe he caught it on the tyre stack or something. It's an odd place for... Might have been a bit of contact, but...
Well, whatever the case, don't think it's going to slow them down too much.
Let's make a nice addition to a Marshall's motor memorabilia connection.
Yes. Always wondered where pieces like that end up, and you're right, probably quite a few corner workers and fans end up with pieces of race cars. What a weekend this has been for Harvey and Liddy. Debuted at Road America, but didn't get to race a whole lot. The first race was weather affected, and then don't believe they started the second race.
No, they qualified well. Unfortunately, had a spin which ruled them out of contention for the second race. There were podium finishes in the first race, but as you say, that was rain shortened. But Tanner really impressed me yesterday. The two of them drove really well, won overall. And put in a great performance. As Tanner was saying on the grid, he has aspirations of doing GT3, which would be great to see, but also it'd be lovely to see him back in the championship, going for a full year and a title challenge next year, because I think that the duo would have a really good chance.
No doubt. I mean, his lap times, the last two laps have been super close together, and he is the second fastest driver on the track right now, only by 15 thousandths of a second to Casey Dennis, the champion-elect in the pro class. This is in just his second weekend of racing in McLaren Trophy, so that is really good stuff from Tanner Harvey and the Forte Racing team.
Yeah, he's adapted really well. He's got a bit of a background in Baja buggy racing, so this is a very different proposition to what he's used to. But he's acclimatized really well, and he's got a great turn of speed and a lovely chap, nice family. They've really done well.
The first to come to this paddock from off-road racing. Kyle Washington will be racing in the Indy 8 Hour later in the weekend. And from off-road racing to Indy, look no further than four-time Indy 500 winner Rick Mears got his start in off-road racing, trophy truck racing. So there is a pedigree for it. That was really close.
Everyone breathed in then.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tanner is keen to take that position away from Dennis Tiemann for second overall, but I mean, great to see that Dennis is holding on to that place with 17 minutes of the race left to go. It's superb to see an AM-class car like that featuring so highly in the listings.
Also leading the AM-class for Papaya Cup, it should be noted. Dennis Tiemann won that Papaya Cup subcategory yesterday, if memory serves. A little bit wide into turn one there. Does that open up the door for Harvey? Took a furtive peek to the outside. Now looks like he's just tried to set this move up with a later apex. He's got Casey Dennis starting to close in as well. This is second and third, with fourth place starting to close in. That's the Lightning McLaren car that now gets a great run through the switchback of 5 and 6, down Holman Boulevard. Dennis to the inside of Harvey will sweep on through. Now, will we get late on the brakes and try and go to the inside of Tiemann as well? He does try, but it's easier said than done. Tiemann fighting back to the inside, hangs onto the spot, and a little hip check there at apex.
Yeah, Dennis has got his elbows out. He's not going to give that up with that fight, but Tanner's trying up the inside. He's got the push to cars going. Oh,
couple of cars off, one of them.
Dempsey and Alexandra.
Whoa, and those two are fighting for a championship. I wonder, hopefully there wasn't any contact there. For now, Hainer is through. Dempsey able to continue on. That begs a few questions, though.
It certainly does.
All was happening there at turn 7, 8, and 9. Definitely had contact with Dennis and Tiemann. Harvey is now through on Tiemann as well. I might have seen the telltale tire donut on the right door of this car, but whether or not that was from that incident, can't definitively say. Let's look at this again. In the background, and it was a lunge from Dempsey. Maybe feeling a little bit of desperation here in the final weekend of the season.
Yeah, I don't think there was really much of a gap for him to go through there, but that is a shame.
Incident under review. This is the Dempsey car making its way down the pit lane. I wonder if maybe it sustained some damage there.
It was a fairly heavy impact there on the front left, wasn't it? So, big
Problems.
lock up there for Dennis Tierman.
Yeah. Was it a lockup or was there a tire rub? You're right, that was just smoke from the lockup. Still trying to get in his rhythm. That's a tough ask, right? Right out of the pits. You've got, on your first lap, all of a sudden you have this freight train of cars coming your way. You have to deal with that. A little contact involved and somehow still get into your groove. Right there, he gives a wide berth and allows James Safronis to come through. And again, another lockup on the right front.
See, this is the thing. Unfortunately, when you do lock the tyres up, you get that flat spot and it keeps going back to that same spot. So
it never gets better.
No.
Only gets worse. And I think he's going to bail for the pit lane. That is a shame. That was the leader in the AM class. So that Safronis pass was a change in the lead. Meanwhile, after the spin, Alexandra Hainer still out on track and running seemingly untroubled, sitting second in Pro-Am, but in position to score maximum points by virtue of the fact that the Harvey Liddy car is invisible for points, having debuted in the final 2 events of the season.
Exactly, and they've got a good cushion back to Brendan Kreutz and Kanan O'Connell, who are running 3rd in class, but they are 10th overall versus Alex Hainer running in 5th overall. So they've got 4 cars in between in the AM class that Brendan would have to try and pass to even get on the tail of Alex.
Long way to go. What would he be, about just under a minute back? So as far as maximum points are concerned, she's in solid position and certainly looking at another 2nd place finish. But that car did sustain some damage on the door, on the right front. That adds a little bit of jeopardy here to the final 12 minutes and 50 seconds.
I think the door was from a previous race. However, the front end damage, that's from this one. So it'd be interesting to see. Hopefully that can stay on and it's not going to cause an issue for them.
Dempsey has returned to the track, but has now been given a drive-through penalty for incident responsibility. Tough way for his season to end, because all year long I've been really impressed with John. Comes to this with no racing background other than on the simulator, and was really fast from the word go. Finished runner-up on debut at Sonoma, has 3 wins, including an overall win, race 1 at VIR. And came into the season finale with the chance at the championship with co-driver Andrew Davis. So it's been a really good rookie year for John.
Yeah, he's really impressed. As I say, mid-season they came good and had a really good run to win and really close out that championship battle. But yeah, it's just been a little bit too little too late.
And in the M class, James Safronis continues to extend his advantage now over Colin Harrison. He now leads in the AM class. Harrison sits 2nd. And what was already an 8.5 point lead has gotten bigger as they run.
I'm just looking at the Papaya Cup standings, and it's amazing how a few minutes and a few laps can make a difference. Dennis Tierman was looking good to take that title in the AM class, until unfortunately he had that lockup and the incident they've had. So he's now dropped back behind Steve Sabero, who's looking good to take the title if things finish as they are. But 11 minutes left to go. Could change.
With the benefit of hindsight, and I say this sitting in the air-conditioned booth, knowing full well it's much harder in the heat of the moment, but that was not really Dennis's fight that was coming through, and rather than being so bellicose in his defense, perhaps the bigger picture would have been to allow some of the other class cars to come through and think about the Papaya Cup. But you know what? This is a learning ground, right, for so many of the teams, so many of the drivers. Many drivers came to this with next to no professional level racing experience this year, and actually with that in mind, I think we've seen some good races and good execution by and large.
I think we've had some very clean races
right.
on the whole.
I was afraid to say that with 10 minutes left, but I think you're onto something.
But we've had some great racing, and it's been throughout the whole field as well. We've had good battles in each of the classes, so it's been an enjoyable thing to watch and commentate on.
A second ago, that was the battle for 2nd and 3rd in AM. Steve Sorbero, who now leads the Papaya Cup in AM, has... Oh, no, it wasn't. I take it back. That was a different orange McLaren. Go figure. Anyway, Colin Harrison actually has a healthy lead over Steve. and still holds down the second spot. Been a big step for Colin too, who's done his fair share of racing in various SRO categories over the last few years, but this car is another level of performance, and it's been fun watching him come to grips with it. 3 wins on the season, including back-to-back. Road America Race 2 and Indy Race 1 yesterday. And a great opportunity for him, too, to measure himself against a veteran like James Safronis.
Exactly, yeah. It's a good chance for him to see how we can improve, and it's I feel a little bit for Colin, because he's a single AM driver in a 1-car team, so he doesn't have the benefit of a multi-car team or even a pro-am lineup where he can gauge himself against his pro driver to help move his driving on. So I think he's done a great job working with the Tech Sport team to achieve what they have this year. As we've said before, James has got a huge amount of experience, multiple championship winning driver. He's a tough competitor to go up against, so I think Colin can be very proud of what he's done this year.
Puts a pass on Alexandra Hainer here. This is for 5th overall. Looking at his pace, Colin's right there within a second of what Safronis is doing. And James, again, I mean, he's been doing this for decades. 4-time SRO American champion in various categories. So it's a great barometer for a young driver to have an established driver like Safronis to compete with, and that shows you the things you need to work on, and in some cases the things you're doing well already that aren't always immediately apparent unless you have that established measuring stick to compare yourself to.
Exactly. I'm looking at the times at the top 2 between Cooper Broll and Casey Dennis. The gap is coming down. We've got just under 8 minutes left of the race to go. The gap is now 8.7 seconds. It's been coming down a little bit lap by lap. Casey isn't going fast enough to overcome him at his current pace. However, if he keeps closing that gap, he could become bigger and bigger in Cooper's mirrors, and it could be an interesting one for the end of the race.
Shape it up that way at the moment. This is Cooper Broll here, 6.8 seconds to the good over Casey Dennis, trying to make that win from the back happen again. Technically, they were first across the line yesterday, weren't they? But had the time penalty. That cost them the overall win officially. Today, a chance to get it done with under 7 minutes to go. Good pace in that car, but time is running out. Cooper's lap this time by a 1:30.6. Let's compare that here in about 5 seconds to Casey Dennis. Trips the timing beacon at a 1:28.5, so that was a really good lap for Casey. Here he comes to the inside of Michael Steves, putting that car a lap down.
Yeah, Casey seems to be on a bit of a mission.
Made up 2 seconds in sectors 1 and 2 alone. Here's a look at the live points in the pro class, and as we mentioned, this one was done and dusted as soon as the green flag came out. Dennis and Lee, champions-elect. They basically had it done yesterday, but did have to start today's race to make it official. They've done it, and now sits second on the road, and this isn't just for, of course, the second overall. This is also for class position and all the accolades that go along with that. So Dennis has the bit between his teeth here and is trying to run Cooper back down. They were much closer together through sector 1 this time, half a second between them, half a second again in sector 2, all going the way of Casey Dennis. But even at a 1.5 seconds a lap, it will be pretty close as to whether or not Dennis is able to make the move, and Casey's now got some traffic up ahead he'll have to contend with as well. Dennis at the back of this 3-car train. Far ahead is Bob Stockard.
3 wide down the straight, it's not too bad.
No.
Is Bob going to make the move on Chris Lightwhite's up the inside? There he is. Little puff of brake smoke from Casey as well as he made that move.
Yeah, that was nicely done to get both of them in one fell swoop. It's now 5.8 seconds. So we got another second back on Cooper Broll. Here is the leader of the AM class Papaya Cup. He's third in AM, but Steve Sorbero having a nice solid day once again in car 49.
Yeah, this will be a good result for Steve if he can finish as he is. He will seal the AM class Papaya Cup ahead of Neil Lamberg as it stands at the moment.
How about that?
And here we go. That's Brendan Kritz. He's leading the Pro Am class of Papaya Cup. He is also leading the championship there. If it finishes as he does, then he should comfortably take that, because his nearest rival was Tom Kopczynski, who unfortunately can't be here this weekend.
Yeah, get well soon, Tom. Wish you were here at the track. Great to see the Flying Lizard colors represented here at
I do like the colours on that car.
Yeah.
It's such a distinctive look.
Strictly speaking, those aren't the classic Flying Lizard colors, but the logo really is what I was referring to. But yes, those colors are striking. You don't miss that car anywhere.
So you'd want the silver and the red.
That's the classic, right?
Yeah,
That's what I
exactly,
grew up on, so I'm rather partial to it. But I have to say, not typically a big fan of change, but this is sharp. You could do a lot worse.
It's definitely take notice.
James Safronis now sitting in a solid 4th position overall, and is making some headway on the overall podium, such as it is. Harvey now with some traffic ahead. That's going to be helpful for James. It's hard to make it work side by side through the chicane, and consequently, Harvey had to sit and wait for a moment to get around. Likewise, did do so, but that should open the door here for James to close in a little bit. Leading in the M class, and now just 2 minutes, 41 seconds away from a championship. And Safronis still is pushing here, isn't he? He wants by. He's got a chance for the overall podium if he can get there.
Yeah, we might have to start thinking about doing one of those.
True. There, strictly speaking, isn't an overall podium, but
he'll enjoy going up on the top step for the AM class victory as it stands.
yes. Looks like this lap and one more, I believe, for James Safronis. And that is Harvey straight ahead. That's where he needs to go. That's the quarry. Let's check the times here, and Safronis was able to close in another second. Trouble is, he's 2 seconds adrift of Harvey, and will be a tough ask, although there is some more traffic still. Meanwhile, Dennis has chopped off a little bit more of Cooper Broll's lead, but I don't think that's likely to be enough. It's still a healthy 4.5 second gap from Broll back to Dennis, with a lap and a half to go for the overall leader of the race and the top 2 in the pro class. This is big here in this 3rd and 4th place overall battle. Again, traffic for Harvey, who has been circumspect working traffic. We saw that earlier. Didn't want to take too much risk. Might have cost him a little bit of time, but it's also kept the car clean. There's something to be said for that. Definitely patient working around Stockart there. It does let Safronis close in, and we'll see how aggressive James is working this traffic. Already to the inside there into turn 12. Meanwhile, at the front, it's the white flag signifying 1 lap to go here at Indianapolis. 1 lap left in the inaugural McLaren Trophy America season. Cooper Broll trying to close out 2025 with a victory. His teammate, Tommy Pintos, watching on. Dennis second, 3.5 seconds back. Then it's Harvey, who leads in Pro-Am, trying to make it a sweep of the weekend. Had James Safronis closing in for 3rd overall, albeit 2 cars in different classes. Safronis now less than 2.5 miles away from a championship. Same story for Alexandra Hainer and Jesse Lazare, set to score maximum points with a 2nd place finish in Pro-Am, only behind a guest appearance machine. This blue car right here of Harvey and Liddy. They came in both instances, Safronis as well as Hainer and Lazare, knowing it would have to go sideways in a big way for them to lose out on a title. They've been able to keep it neat and tidy and cap off the year if they can make it around half a lap more in a big way. Safronis is closing in, but I'm not sure there'll be enough time. In the meantime, Cooper Broll, Tommy Pintos take victory in race 2 at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Casey Dennis chasing across the line. He and James Lee are your Pro Class champions in 2025. Here comes Harvey, and for the second straight day, Harvey, Liddy, and Forte Racing win in Pro-Am. Safronis takes victory in the Am Class, and with it, the inaugural Am Class Championship. Colin Harrison finishes in the second place in class, or he will here shortly. He's not too far behind. Meanwhile, a championship season for motorsports in action. Team from north of the border. Veteran Jesse Lazare pairs up with the up-and-comer Alexandra Hainer. And with a second place result here at the world-famous Indianapolis Motor Speedway, it caps off a championship-winning season for the team and the drivers. Here they come to the line. It is Hainer across the stripe, and with that, the championship honors belong to Alexandra Hainer and Jesse Lazare.
Good job, Sam. Awesome fucking work. Cool.
Apologies for the language, folks. Emotions are high, as you might imagine.
Great result, felt thoroughly deserved by all our champions, and we've got Brendan Kreutz taking the Papaya Cup victory in Pro-Am and the title there, and Steve Sabero doing the same in the Am class. So lots to celebrate, including GMG. Congratulations to them on the team's championship, just to confirm that. So what a race, what a weekend.
What a
We're into
season.
the season.
Well, thank you so much. It's been a lot of fun. Great to be a part of it this year. Appreciate your help as well along the way, Tom. We'll let you get to your PR duties for McLaren, but it's been a blast having you alongside as we put a bow on 2025 very soon. Amanda will be back to join us, and a chance to hear from race winners at Indy and your champions for the first time ever. McLaren Trophy America crowning its champions in the inaugural season with a trip to the McLaren Technology Center still to come to celebrate the achievement. Now, James Safronis will be thrilled with this. Yesterday was frustrating. Kept the door open a crack with the penalty that was so costly. Heard from Tom a moment ago. It just came down to misjudging the amount of grip available on the warmed-up Pirellis, and they came in under the pit stop minimum. Perfect execution today to cap off a season, and I think James will be even more excited about the fact the team takes the team's title in addition to his driving championship. Unofficial results. Final race of the season. 33 laps by the leader, Broll and Pintos. They take the win, but the title goes to Dennis and Lee from RWE Motorsport. Harvey and Liddy, what a debut. Hope to see a lot more of them, whether it's here or in GT3. In any event, announced their presence in a big way, taking back-to-back wins in the Pro-Am class. Safronis, a winner in the Am class, takes home the championship just ahead of Colin Harrison in both the point standings as well as in the race. Jesse Lazare, Alexandra Hainer, second in Pro-Am, but champions on the season. And well done indeed to them. Congratulations as well to the Papaya Cup winners and champions. They are one and the same. Sorbero in Am, Kreutz in Pro-Am. That goes to drivers that are earlier in their motorsports careers. Gives them a chance to be recognized. And again, apologies for the language down in victory lane. As you can imagine, though, this is a meaningful achievement. Whether it's the win or the championship, in some cases both. But most notably, perhaps, the win here at Indianapolis and the chance to kiss the world-famous bricks that were laid back in 1910 and still reside below the asphalt all the way around the circuit, with the exception, of course, of the start-finish line. That's the famous yard of bricks here at Indianapolis. Look at that Park Ferme, busy place. So many cars needing to report to celebrate either a championship or a podium finish, race win, whatever the case may be. Imagine we've got a lot of happy drivers down there, and standing amongst them is Amanda Busick.
So that's
Oh, and we're just talking about this win here down for Cooper Broll. He said it's the first time for him that he has crossed the start-finish line, seeing the checkered flag with the win on your own in this back half. In this first season in McLaren Trophy, you guys picked up 3 wins together, but how to end on this punctuation, how exciting is that for you?
beyond exciting. I can't thank the team enough for giving us such an amazing car. I feel like it's been a long time coming, and we are finally able to put it together at here, which is incredible. So it's really exciting.
Tommy, and when you reflect back over this season for McLaren Trophy here in the United States, what's been the highlight for you?
Well, I think everything, and definitely this race was one of them.
Congratulations, guys.
Thank you.
Well, very much well-earned. Quite a season for those two, and great to see Tommy get this chance to race here in the States this year. We'll see if that opens up the door for more opportunities for him stateside in the years to come. Wasn't enough for a Pro Championship this year, but they do get yet another win. The championship, though, does go the way of Dennis and Lee. Basically wrapped it up yesterday and then made it official by taking the start here in race number 2. Congratulations to the pair of them and to RWE Motorsport. AM-Class winner and AM-Class champion, James Safronis now with Amanda.
And we saw you pushing for that overall, James. We know it was out there, but you've been such a proponent and supporter of McLaren Trophy all season long. And when you think of what's ahead for this series and for you yourself, what will your sales pitch be for people that want to join this series?
Well, been there, done that, and won. And we won the team's championship, which really is a testament to guys at GMG. I mean, these guys, from day one, were on the car. Just make a note, we had 0 mechanical issues all year. The McLaren builds a great car, but it's still racing. So you got to be prepared and present a car that's always 100% perfect. You got Newport Beach, McLaren. They've been a huge supporter. The best dealership in the world for this brand. And then Mobile One has stepped up this year. You can see they're well represented on the car, thanks to Mobile One. And obviously eBoost with all of Kyle's support. And I have to hats off to Tate. That guy he's amazing. He does the job of 10 guys. I'm getting emotional because he's the one who made this happen. We focused all the effort on my other clients and on the other programs, and Tate would always make a few extra minutes to just get me sorted. So I love the guy. He's awesome. And then obviously my wife and kids, you know how special they are to me. I'm getting emotional because I've been doing this a long time, and it's not easy to win these championships. So when you do, you got to enjoy them like my wife told me to. And now we're going to have a little bit of a celebration. The guys can relax a little bit. They've been working 6 months straight, so hats off to them.
And it's quickly back to team owner for you today.
Yeah, we got a car in the 8 hour. Kyle's got a lot of work to do with Klaus and Tom. And then we have CJ and Kyle also in the GT America race. So there's no rest for me, but I love it. I don't want to stop. And I'll keep going as long as I can. And Jensen, I'll see you here next year, buddy.
That's awesome stuff. This means so much, and this was a proof of concept for James running in McLaren Trophy this year. They've got big plans for the championship next year. He takes home the title, narrowly edging out Colin Harrison in the AM class, and Steve Sorbero does take the 3rd spot in the season-long championship. It was really close. Tillman and Cook, what might have been, had some bad luck here today, but it opens the door for Sorbero, and he takes home 3rd in the points. Still a few more to hear from before it's all said and done. If we have a chance to do so, we will. But also understand if they feel the need to jet off and start the celebration, because it is a special, special thing to win here at Indianapolis, especially on this weekend. It is a busy weekend, so much activity all throughout the course of the next handful of days. McLaren Trophy wrapping up now, but GT America, TC America, probably GT4 America, plus the Indy 8 Hour presented by AWS still to come here this weekend. And many of these teams, some of the drivers have presences in several of those events still to come here this weekend, as you heard James Safronis allude to, and should also mention Toyota GR Cup here this weekend too, to cap off the season for SRO America. I do think we were able to find our Pro-Am Championship winners at the end of the season from Motorsport in Action. It's Alexandra Hainer and Jessie Lazare with Amanda.
Well, 3 wins on the season, and right then today when it mattered the most. Alex, what will this season mean for your career?
I don't know where the future will go. All I'm looking back at this season, and it was the most fun season I've ever had racing, so I just can't stop smiling.
Congratulations on the championship. And Jessie, when you hear that, the partnership that you guys shared this season, but just teaming up, where did this really gel between you and Alex?
Honestly, it was such a pleasure to work with Alex. She literally became a pro at the end, and she was driving phenomenal. What she had to bring home on that last stint was really impressive, considering how much damage we had. So honestly, I'm very excited where the future could hold, but wherever she goes, she's going to be very fast.
Congratulations to your 2025 Pro-Am champs and McLaren Trophy.
So good all year, so consistent. Only one finish off the podium all season long, and that was in the season opener. And as Tom alluded to earlier, it was no fault of their own. They had some kind of small technical glitch that cost them what was shaping up to be a good result there. And in the final analysis, it's 13.5 points that Hainer and Lazare finished clear of Davis and Dempsey. Krutz and O'Connell take home 3rd in the standings, ahead of Filgaris and Kopczynski, with likewise and Guzman finishing 5th in Pro-Am for 2025. The final race of the season started with Tommy Pintos on the overall pole position. He was able to jet ahead. We had a couple of battles breaking out. James Sofronis thinking big picture in the early going. Got past quite a bit, but was thinking championship. He was able to preserve it and take home the victory. Pintos a little bit wide in turn 1. Then, after the pit stops, it helped Forte Racing jump to the front. Great execution in the pits, coupled with success penalties for some of the competition, open the door for the blue car to go to the 4 in Pro-Am, as they did yesterday. It was back-to-back wins for that pairing of Liddy and Harvey. More things to come. Big moment in the Pro-Am Championship here as a couple of the front runners collided. Dempsey was given the penalty for that. Hainer able to continue on, even with some damage, and take home the championship. That concludes the inaugural season of McLaren Trophy America. See you next year.